What's going on, guys? This is another episode here in Nolan's Pod. You guys already know what we're going to be talking about, right? Okay. You guys know what happened last night, right? Okay. You know how when we watch sports replays, and what I mean by sports replays, you know how you miss a game and then they show the replay of the game, of the whole game. They show the rerun of the whole game. Game 2 last night between the New York Knicks at Boston Garden last night. That looked like a replay. That looked like a game that I missed, and I just went back and watched the replay. Except for the only thing that happened was it wasn't a replay. It wasn't game 1. It was game 2 last night between the New York Knicks and the Boston Celtics. And that game was so similar to game 1 that it was crazy. Boston, they got out to a fast start. They were in control early. The Knicks started cutting the lead in the second quarter, and then the third quarter, Boston turned it on. They went back up by 20 something points. They went back up by like 23 points. And Coach Tibbs had to call timeout to stop Boston's momentum. And then again, Boston just started settling for those threes in the third quarter after they were up by 20-something plus points. They started settling for the threes again. They wasn't knocking them down again. Boston's not bashful at shooting threes, that's for sure. Even when it's not going, they are not bashful about shooting. That's for sure. But again, they just started shooting those threes in the third quarter with a 20-plus point lead. And to the Knicks' advantage, the Knicks took advantage of that, and they started chipping away at the lead. They started cutting it down. By the time the fourth quarter came, they cut it down some more. Next thing you know, you like, if you're a Boston Celtics fan, you like, here we go again. Here we go. Oh, crap. Here we go. We got a ball game. And sure enough, Jalen Brunson delivers. Mikal Bridges delivers. But I want to give my shout out to Mikal Bridges, for real, because he didn't do anything in the first 3 quarters. And in the fourth quarter, when they needed him the most, he came through. Mikal Bridges went on like a 10-0 run by himself in the fourth quarter. You know what I'm saying? Like, he went on a run by himself, and he cut the lead by himself. Not to mention the steal at the end of the game on Jayson Tatum that Mikal Bridges got. And this was last night. That's what I keep telling y'all. This whole game was like watching the replay of game 1. Game 2 was so similar. It's like we watched the replay. Boston claps again, and it's crazy that you blow a 20-point lead in back-to-back games. I know with how the way 3-point shooting is in today's NBA, 20 points, being down 20 points is nothing. But the Knicks were doing it inside. They were doing it from the outside. The Knicks made hustle plays. The Knicks rebounded. The Knicks forced turnovers. The Knicks got after it defensively, and they made Boston's life a living hell defensively. So the Knicks, they did all the little things and all the big things and the fundamental things that you need to win an NBA ballgame. The Knicks did that. And one thing I will say to you guys is, I have a question. I'm gonna give you an answer to it. Is this more about the Knicks coming back in back-to-back games and winning back-to-back games, or is this more about Boston and Boston blowing the leads? I have an answer for that. We got to give the Knicks all the credit in the world, because nobody seen the Knicks coming into Boston Garden and winning 2 games in a row. So we got to give New York credit. As much as I hate doing that, we have to give them credit. One thing I would say to you guys is, this is more about Boston, and Boston collapsing in back-to-back games. They choked in back-to-back games with 20-point leads in back-to-back games at home in the Boston Garden. And one thing that I would say to that is this is more about Boston because, man, look, when you have a comfortable lead, sometimes you get relaxed and I get all that. But when Boston gets a comfortable lead, they want to keep firing up all these threes. And one thing that I would say about last night and the difference between game 2 and game 1 is last night Boston did go and attack. They did attack. Not Jayson Tatum, but Jaylen Brown, he did do a better job of attacking the rim. But his partner in crime, Jayson Tatum, when Jayson Tatum only has when Jayson Tatum only has 13 points, 14 rebounds, 5 for 19 from the field, and only 1 for 5 from 3, and he only has 13 points, and your name is Jayson effing Tatum, and you guys wonder why we don't mention Jayson Tatum as a top 5 player in the NBA, top 7 player in the NBA. This is why. And it's sad because he has a championship. The Boston Celtics just won a championship last year. They won a championship by doing what they're doing this year, by shooting all these threes, jacking up all these threes, not being bashful about it. That's how they won a championship last year. The question is, by them doing the same thing this year, they have the same formula that they had last year. Jayson Tatum. This is why you're not talked about as a top 5, top 7, maybe top 10 player. This is why, right here. This is why. You have 13 points in the game that your team needs you. You go 5 for 19 from the field and 1 for 5 for 3. Jayson Tatum, you have got to be better than that. You have got to be better than that, Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum, you are a good player. But this is why when these fans get pissed off about why we don't talk about Jayson Tatum as a top 5, top 7 player, it's because he has games like this from time to time that you scratch your head and you like, what the hell is going on? What really is going on? So that's why we don't discuss Jayson Tatum in the light that we discuss SGA, Joker, Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, guys like that, Ant-Man. Don't get me started on Ant-Man after game 1 and then him laughing post-game with Julius Randle. Don't even get me started on Ant-Man. I don't even want to. But other than that, even though he had an up game. Anyway, this is why Jayson Tatum is not talked about. This is why. And you are down 1-0 and your team needs you the most. Now, granted, Boston, they are a much better road. They are a much better road team this year than they were a home team. So this series is not over by any means. And what I would say to you guys is same thing with the Knicks. The Knicks play better away from Madison Square Garden than they do at Madison Square Garden. So something has got to give. This series is not over by a long shot. It's really not. Boston can go in the Madison Square Garden and get 2 games just as easily as the Knicks went into TD Garden and stole those 2 games. Boston could do that just as easily at Madison Square Garden. So this series is not over for a long shot, but Boston has got to play better. Jayson Tatum has got to play better. Jaylen Brown, you're not excused for any criticism either. You didn't have a good game either. Jaylen Brown only had 20 points on 8 for 23 shooting and 2 for 7 from 3. He didn't have a good game either. Now, we do know that he is hurt and he really doesn't have any lift on his jump shot. But you're still playing. So we're not forgetting about you and the criticism that we have either. I'm going to tell y'all something. Jalen Brunson only had 17 points in his game. He was only 6 for 19 from the field, 2 for 9 from 3. Even game 1, Jalen Brunson struggled. But when they needed him to be clutch in game 1, he delivered. He struggled in game 2. When they needed Jalen Brunson to be clutch in game 2, he was clutch when it mattered most. That's why he's clutch player of the year. And that's why I tell you guys, It's no excuse for Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown to have 2 bad games in a row. And Jalen Brunson, he had 2 bad games in a row too, but when he needed to be clutch in both of those games, he delivered for his team. That's what I'm telling you guys. So it's okay not to play well if you're a superstar. But if you deliver at the end like Jalen Brunson has, all that criticism goes away. The Knicks have come in and stole 2 of these games. They have stolen 2 of these games, and Jalen Brunson has not played well at all, except for in the clutch. If they had lost these 2 games, sure, we'd be having different conversation. We'd be like, where the hell is Jalen Brunson? But we're not saying that because he's been clutch, and they come in and shock people and have won 2 games. Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, you guys are the guys. What the hell are you going to do about it? They come into your house and stole 2 games. What are y'all going to do about it? Obviously, Boston, as I keep saying, they're not bashful for shooting threes. They were 5 of 21 in the first half from 3-point range. It didn't get any better in the second half. When you have a 20-point plus lead, you want to continue to put pressure on the team that you're going against. Get to the basket. Get fouled. Get to the free throw line. Attack the rim. Don't fall in love with the three just because you're up by 20-something plus points. And that's what Boston has done in the last 2 games. And Boston's defense has not been great. And the score was only 91-90. That's a 90s type game, an 80s type game, 91-90. That was the final score. So it's not like Boston has been bad defensively, but Boston's offense has not been crisp at all. And Boston's defense at the end of games has not been great at all. They have Drew Holiday and they have Derek White. Those are the best 2 perimeter defenders in the game of basketball today right now. Just because they are the greatest 2 perimeter defenders does not mean that you only need to play man coverage on Jalen Brunson and play him one-on-one. It's okay to bring a double team on Jalen Brunson, especially in the clutch. I know Drew Holiday's great defensively. I know Derek White is a great defensively. I know that. We know that. We know Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum can defend when they want to also. We know that. It's okay to bring a double team. Just because those guys are great defenders don't mean that they don't need help. Especially on a guy that's crafty as Jalen Brunson is and as skilled as Jalen Brunson is. Bring a freaking double team. Joe Mazzulla, you have not done a great job of coaching. And that's why I told my dad, I'm like, a long time ago, I told my dad, I was like, Ime Udoka would have won a championship with this team. He carried the team to the championship. Obviously, they lost to the Warriors. But if Ime Udoka had still been coaching this team, the Celtics would have still won a championship. Now Ime Udoka is coaching this Rockets team who they were in a short rebuild, and they went 41-41 in Ime Udoka's first season, and then look what they did this season. They took a major leap forward. Ime Udoka would have won a championship with this Boston Celtics team. If you put Joe Mazzulla on Houston, Houston is not doing what they did last year. They're not going to do what they did this year. If you put Joe Mazzulla on that team and Ime Udoka and Joe Mazzulla switch teams, Joe Mazzulla would not have this Rockets team playing as well as they did this year like Ime Udoka did. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that. Joe Mazzulla, he got lucky because he has the roster that he has. That's what makes him a good coach, because he has the roster that he has. He got lucky. These first 2 games, he has done an absolutely poor job of coaching, and he is not above any criticism either. We like to get on Coach Thibodeau. We like to get on him a lot about players and the minutes and all that. Rightfully so. Does Thibodeau run his players in the ground? Yes, he does. We all know that. And we all say that he's not a good coach from time to time. We say that a lot. We do from time to time. I don't, but other guys do. What I would tell you is we need to give Tom Thibodeau his flowers right now for the first 2 games and how he has came in and coached his team and has not changed anything up as far as his game plan. And it's like, trust the process. If you trust me in my coaching staff's game plan, it's gonna work as long as we trust the process. And you have to give Coach Thibodeau credit because he's got this team fighting, and he's also got this team believing. And they believe so much that they just came in the Boston Garden and stole 2 games. That's how much they believe. And they were down 20 plus points in each game. So you have to give Thibodeau credit for the job that he's done. At times, he's put Mitchell Robinson in the game. And a lot of times, the Boston Celtics in the first 2 games had intentionally fouled him to send Mitchell Robinson to the free throw line because he's a poor free throw shooter. Coach Thibodeau has left him in the game at times, too. Even when the Boston Celtics did the hacker foul, Thibodeau has left Mitchell Robinson in the game at times because Mitchell Robinson is important defensively. He's important as far as rebounding and blocking shots and making an impact on the game. Tom Thibodeau has taken a gamble on that. He's gambled with that. And Mitchell Robinson has done a good job in the role that he's been in. That's why they needed Mitchell Robinson to come back. We knew they were a better team with Mitchell Robinson. And then Josh Hart, the Energizer Bunny, 23 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 9 for 15 from the field, 3 for 6 for 3. If you're going to get that kind of performance for Josh Hart, the Knicks are unbeatable. Josh Hart doesn't do that often. If you're going to get that for Josh Hart, the Knicks are unbeatable. Mikal Bridges didn't have his best game, as I mentioned to you guys. He stepped up in the fourth quarter. He had 14 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 6 for 18 from the field, 2 for 8 from 3. Cat, 21 points, 17 rebounds, 1 assist, 9 for 16 from the field, 0 for 1 for 3. I told y'all the other day that Cat has to have a better game. Cat had 21 and 17. In game 1, Cat took 1 3. And I don't think he made it. In game 2, Cat took 1 3. He didn't make it. The first 2 games of this series, especially game 2, what do we want Cat to do? We want Cat to go to the hole and dominate because he's such a big body and he's such a big presence that he can dominate in the paint. A lot of times, Cat falls in love with the 3 because Cat's one of the big men in the league today that can hit a 3. Cat has also won a 3-point shooting contest. So Cat, he falls in love with that jump shot. The first 2 games, Cat has only taken 2 3-pointers. 2 through the first 2 games. He's only taken 2 3-pointers. For a guy that loves to let it fly. And he had 21 and 17. That's what we talking about. That's the Cat that we like. The Cat that's going to get to the rim because he's dominant. He can go down there and play bully ball and get whatever he wants anytime he wants. One thing that I'm concerned about for the Boston Celtics is Kristaps Porzingis did play in his game. Obviously, he had that illness, and he had that illness during the regular season. He was able to play in this game, and the Celtics were worried about his endurance or his durability, I should say, and they brought him off the bench because of that. Because of the illness, they brought him off the bench because they were worried about his durability. At times, KP was really good. He had 8 points, 4 rebounds, 2 for 5 from the field, 1 for 1 for 3 off the bench. At times in this game, he showed glimpses of the KP that we know. One thing that I would worry about, and the Celtics are worried about, how much is he going to be able to give, not only throughout the rest of the series, but if Boston advances and comes back further and wins this series, how much is KP's availability? How much is KP going to be able to give? Kristaps Porzingis is a huge part of why Boston won the championship last year. He's going to be a huge part this year if Boston wants to repeat. How much is he going to be able to truly give is the question. Al Horford had 4 points, 4 rebounds, 2 for 11 from the field, 0 for 5 for 3. Obviously, Al Horford's no spring chicken. I love Al to death. Y'all know that. But with Al starting, Al's 38. They have to watch Al's minutes. They know that. They are aware of that. And the concerning thing about that is with Kristaps Porzingis, you have to start Al Horford because you don't know how much Porzingis is going to be able to give you, especially when him battling this illness. That's another concern. And then as far as 3-point shooting goes, man, the Boston Celtics were 10 of 40 from 3-point range. That's 25%. Boston also had 17 turnovers. That came from the Knicks' good defense. The Knicks had 16 turnovers. The Knicks were also 9 of 31 from 3. That's 29%. Boston only shot 36% from the field. The Knicks shot 43% from the field. Points in the paint, 42 for both teams. The Knicks had 16 fast break points to the Boston Celtics 13. Boston out-rebounded the Knicks 51 to 46. The Knicks out-assisted the Boston Celtics 19 to 17. The Knicks had 11 steals to the Boston Celtics 9. Keep saying the Knicks just got after it defensively. They really did. Both teams shot well from the free throw line. Both teams shot 80% in this game from the free throw line. The largest lead in this game for Boston was 20 points. The largest lead for the Knicks was 3 points. Both teams have 2 days off. And it's going to be really, really, really interesting to see with these 2 days off how Boston's going to make this up, man. Because they are in a world of trouble. And as I keep telling you guys, Boston's a better road team than they are at home. The Knicks are a better road team than they are when they play at Madison Square Garden. So Boston could easily come back and win 2 games at Madison Square Garden than the Knicks stealing 2 games in Boston. Boston's not going to change what they do. They're going to still keep shooting threes. It's a matter is if they are going to go in or not. The first 2 games, they haven't. The first 2 games from 3, they've shot 25% in the first 2 games from 3. Are they going to go in or not? But Boston's not going to change the way they play. My only concern with the Knicks is when y'all got a 2-point lead and y'all going back home, how are y'all going to come out and play at home? That's my concern for the Knicks. I'm not concerned with whether the Knicks can beat the Boston Celtics. They've already shown that they can beat the Boston. They've already shown that they can beat the Boston Celtics. My concern is, how are y'all going to play at home? We shall see this weekend. That's all I have for you guys today. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know in the comments, do you think this series is over or do you think Boston can overcome this? And we out of here.